Shri Prabhu Chawla, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great joy to inaugurate the first edition of Dakshin Literary Festival 2020, conceived and organized by the New Indian Express Group of Publications. I must compliment Shri Prabhu Chawla and his team for organizing this literary festival on the theme Global Narratives and Southern Perspectives. Keeping in mind the list of the panelists, who are exceptionally eminent people, I am confident that their discussions would be an intellectual treat for the lovers of books and literature. Any literary festival is essentially a celebration of written words and celebration of men of letters and the lasting impact of their works on the society at large. And the importance of literature is that it helps us in developing the graces of mind and virtues of spirit, without which life is not worth living. Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan once quoted from a scripture to underline the importance of literature and writers. Sansar vish virakshasya duiphale amrito pame kavya amrita rasa swada sallapa sajjana neh saha. In this poisonous tree of world, there are two fruits of incomparable value. They are kavya, the immortal essence of the great books, the classics, and communion with great minds. If we want to enjoy the fruits of great literature, well, we must read them with concentration, with full attention to drive maximum benefit from them. Every literary festival helps in igniting our interest in the written word. It reminds us about our ancient classics, which never become old, as writers of the modern age always find new meaning in the text which is relevant to the times in which we are living. It introduces us to the works of young and bright writers which are full of new ideas and perspectives which can help us shape the world better. In today's world, newer form of reading material like e-book, audiobook have expanded the influence of the book as they are more accessible to a large number of people and are less expensive. While appreciating the organizer's gesture of focusing on the literature of the South, let me say that when we consider the range, volume, and tone of the literature of the South, we realize the extent to which they have contributed and continue to strengthen the literature and literary tradition of our country. Therefore, it would be appropriate to say that this literature emanating from South India is essentially pan-Indian or even global in nature and its outreach. The main languages we tend to call as South Indian are Telugu, Kannada, Tamil and Malayalam. Let us also include Tulu and Konkani, which are spoken in this region. These Dravidian languages share several common traits, and the literature of each language has been enriched by native writers as well as writers from other southern languages, transcending both regional and lingual boundaries. For instance, Tamil is the oldest classical language, and its contribution to Indian languages and literature is unparalleled. The Tamil epics Chilappatikaram and Mani Mekhale are comparable with world classics. During the Sangam era came the treatise Tolkappiyam, which had everything from grammar to man's relation to nature. Tolkappiyam is perhaps the first Indian text in eco-aesthetics. The author Tolkappiyar may have been from Travancore between Thiruvananthapuram and Kanyakumari, since he mentions of a guru who hailed from that area. It points to the contribution of Kerala to early Tamil literature. In fact, Malayalam had started off as a dialectical version of Tamil and evolved as a full-fledged language through the medium and influence of Sanskrit. India is a land united by the grand mythologies which have been told and retold in many ways and languages. In Tamil, there was poet Kamban, whose Kamba Ramayan is well known. In Malayalam, there was Ram Charitram or Ram Katha, a retelling of Valmiki Ramayan in 12th century by a ruler named Chiraman, a Tamil version of Shri Raman. Kerala also had Nirnam poets Rama Panikar, Shankara Panikar and Madhava Panikar, who translated Ramayan, Mahabharat and Bhagavad Gita into Malayalam. I am told that Madhav Panikar's translation of Mahabharat could be the first translation of that epic in other modern Indian languages. However, it was for Tunchat Elutuchan to give a level of fixity to Malayalam script and Malayalam poetic tradition through his classic Adhyatma Ramayanam. In Telugu, there was Nannaya Bhattaraka, who retold Mahabharat as today's Andhra Mahabharat and wrote Andhra Shabd Chintamani, a treatise in grammar all in the 11th century. Likewise, Kannada had the ruler Nirpatunga, who composed Kavi Raja Marga, a treatise on poetics sometime in 9th century. Similarly, Adi Kavi Pampa retold Mahabharat as Pampa Bharat. The text, texture, and philosophical influences underlying the literature in South Indian languages have been shaped by Shaivite culture. Here also we see a unique quality of India's common heritage and cultural unity. Shaivism thrived in two regions, which were in no way geographically contiguous. The citadels of Shaivism have been first in the region known as Tamil Nadu in the south, and secondly in Kashmir in north. See the way in which literature and ideas efface distance. Literature reflects the realities of the time. What people write as literature is not just reading material, but a truthful documentation of the life in a period of history. This puts great responsibility on every writer and cautions them against literature getting watered down as propaganda. The writer's freedom has no limits. Writers should decide where their freedom ends. Now, I would like to say a few words about the southern perspectives how they synchronize with global narratives. Let me give the example of Malayalam literature from among the literature of the South. Right from the 19th century, Malayalam literature kept its eyes and ears open to the Western and other literature. There was a genuine interest in welcoming the literary trends of other Indian languages as well as those of Europe and other regions. In fact, the first translation of Karl Marx, The Capital, was released in Malayalam in 1912, that is 5 years before the Russian Revolution. Perhaps in India, Kerala is one place where writers from Valmiki to Shakespeare to Marquez are household names. All these go a long way in making the voice of literature of the South heard not only in India but globally through translations. In these times of COVID, our freedom has been restricted and we have been forced into loneliness. But we know that imagination thrives in solitude, and great writers, poets, and artists seek solitude so that they can give shape to their ideas and imagination. As it says, we make out of the quarrel with others rhetoric, but out of the quarrel with ourselves, poetry. The aim of literature is the good of the world. Vishwa Shreya Kavyam. Its purpose is not just to reflect the world, but to redeem the world. It is not to mirror what is visible to the eye, but to recreate the experience. The solitude enables the writer to glimpse the vision, clothe it with sensitivity, and shape it into words. Let me conclude with what Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore said in his famous essay, The Call of Truth. He said, India cannot attain true freedom unless it is recognized that its foundation is in mind, which, with its diverse powers and its confidence in those powers, goes on all the time creating Swaraj for itself. Gurudev further articulated the importance of a refusal to surrender the dignity of intellect into the keeping of others. The idea of Bharat needs to reveal itself through the literature of various languages. We should be able to freely discuss the idea of Bharat without being offended by divergent views. I say this because our perspectives on global narratives are essentially Indian, whether they come from the south, east, west, or north. My best wishes for the success of this festival. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Thank you. Jai Hind.